could be a jewel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gloria Smith-Cisse. I am the chair of the Glasser Institute for Choice Theory's Diversity Council. And I always have to say that I am extremely excited that the Glasser Institute opted to offer this opportunity for us to have conversations around the issue of diversity. Many of the organizations that I am familiar with, some of them have intentional conversations around diversity, but not all of them. And to me, for the Glasser Institute to do this is really kind of forward thinking, one. And I think it says that they're interested in what's actually really happening for people in the world. And so I'm really proud to be the facilitator and to have Neb as my co-chair on the council, and to have with me my wonderful friend Judith, who always brings her Judith wisdom to our conversations. She is definitely an advocate and also a longtime Glasser Institute trainer and advocate for all things choice theory and reality therapy, as is Neb. But they're always with us, and I'm really excited to have them with us. And I don't think I could do the conversations without them. And with that said, I also have to say this is a conversation where, we talk about things that some people might perceive as difficult, but they haven't been difficult for us. They've just been conversations about other people's interests, and things that are important to other people. So they give us an opportunity to open our eyes and learn something new about another person. But they can be challenging for some people. We used to say, if you hear something that creates some discomfort for you, then you can say ouch, and then we can address it. We can talk about it. But what we'd really like for you to do is entertain the possibility that sometimes we can't grow unless we're uncomfortable. And so if you experience some uncomfort or discomfort in this conversation, we're inviting you to sit with it, right? Bring it up, let's talk about it, but sit with it for a little while, because as I said earlier, sometimes we have to be a little bit uncomfortable in order to grow, right? And so let's practice being comfortable with our discomfort. This is a teaching tool, so that's the reason that we record it. The Glasser Institute posted on the website, and so that people who don't have an opportunity to come and sit with us on Saturdays, I'm just going to say Saturdays because it's afternoon for me, but it's not, it's morning for Judith. And so for folks who don't have the time to come and sit with us during these conversations, or who may not have the capacity, sometimes it's just much to try to hear these conversations, but they can hear and learn and grow from what it is that we talk about. Today's topic has to do with tradition, holidays, old and new. Now, this was Judith's idea. And like I said, I can't do these conversations by myself. And I am so excited that Judith and Neb are with us, as I am with all of you, because Jody's here all the time. I smushed Jody and Rhonda together. Did y'all hear me say Rody? So Rhonda and Jody come meet with us a lot as well. Sorry, I'm still kind of getting over something. But anyway, so I'm going to turn the microphone over to Judith and let her get us started. And everybody here, please feel free to jump in. You don't have to raise your hand, but it would be helpful if you use that little function that see Wendell showing us how to raise your hands. And ultimately, I may even call you by name and ask you if you have something you want to contribute. Okay, Judith, go right ahead. I'm going to mute my microphone.
Okay, thank you, Gloria. And you can do this as well as a little function down below. I recognize both, and sometimes this is easier than finding the little function down below. So one of the things that we have done over the several years that I've been coming is we've had some in-depth discussions, in-depth from my perspective, discussions. One of my all-time favorites that I still refer people to was Webb's epigenetics one that he did in April of 2022. Stellar. I think, was it last month or the month before, was critical race theory?
Yep,
That
critical
was
race
another
theory.
one.
Mhm.
Eye-opening for me. I mean, I hear the term, I have an idea, but one of the things that I really like about coming is that are presenting other than me, they've done a lot of research in their topic. I tend to be somebody who, I do research in terms of looking back on my life, looking back on the varying work. Over 50 years in social services, I've had newborn infants up to holding the hands of a person in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, who've 100, who've passed over. So a wide range of ages and diversity has to do with race. And it certainly does, but it is much broader than that. And sometimes in order to be comfortable, the more controversial topics, we can take a look at some of these supposedly less controversial topics. And I think the holidays is one of those that people, oh, well, what do you mean? That's just, you know, light and church and all of these wonderful things. And that's true. For many people, that's true, but not for everybody. And so I was for the gift blog that's up now, then and now, just looking at my own journey from my growing up years and how we celebrated the being through New Year's to what I personally do now at 82. And there's pretty much a huge change where I've transitioned in terms of what's important to me. And I will say this, there's something about having a Christmas tree when you have little children that is magical. Hundreds, if not thousands of Christmas trees, and I really enjoy them. And I still think they're magical when they're in somebody else's house or yard, because the whole getting the tree, setting it up, decorating it, keeping it watered, taking, you know, putting everything away, that has been so challenging on so many different levels that the joy of that few weeks of the tree being up, because I still have people that I know that put trees at my tree fix. I have friends that have dogs, so I go get my dog fix without having the 24-hour-a-day responsibility taking care of a dog. So it's just this, so I just was like, how does that fit in with choice theory in our quality world? So I actually world pictures of Christmas that I have no intention of replicate or manifest, match, whichever term you want to use today. But when I think back on those, very, very warm, positive feelings, very uplifting, very healing in many ways. I say that because my grandparents are gone, my parents are gone, one of my brothers is gone, a lot of friends are gone, you know, and so I can look at some of these holidays when we were all together for going well, and so that's sort of my love and belonging piece that I get there, plus fun, and not so much freedom, because we had traditions in our family. Now, how many of you have family traditions that were in place when you grew up, that this is how you do Christmas or Thanksgiving or New Year's or whatever? So I came from a family that had, you know, the size of the turkey. This was the dressing or stuffing, whatever term you use. You had to have mashed potatoes. You had to have candied sweet potatoes. You had to have homemade fresh cranberry sauce. I'm a canned cranberry sauce person myself, preferably the jelly that you can slice if you're making a sandwich kind of thing. So, it's maybe a bit of an outlier of my family. I don't like turkey, so because you had turkey Thanksgiving and Christmas, you had ham for New Year's. And so just in terms of food, there were family traditions. The size of the tree, how the decorations were put on. Lights went on first, then ornaments. And I mean, there was all orchestra. Growing up, that was fantastic. And I have such positive memories of that. So then my challenges is that we spent every Christmas with my parents. So we still had a tree, but we didn't do the big meal and all of that because we were always eating that at grandma's. So after my mother, and I'm the oldest, so now I'm the matriarch of the family. And I took on, okay, now I have to do the tree a certain way, meals. I have a small house, but I everybody over, you know, and so I realized that my quality world picture of these holidays was not being met because of the work and the challenges I was having to deal with. It was one thing, 6 pies. That was my contribution. It's another thing to do the turkey, the dressing, all the potatoes and the salad and and so so after a couple of years I started cutting back. And so and the first thing to go was the turkey, because why am I fixing a 20-pound when I don't like turkey and I don't like turkey soup? And you have, you know, you give as much away as you can, but you still have. And I'm old enough that I remember growing up when things were tight and you did not just throw something away. You know, I saw my mom make turkey soup. That's what you did with the bones and all of that. What a relief. What a relief. Then I had some health problems and I could not do the grocery shopping for everybody. Well, that was traumatic. Then I gave money. What I would have spent, I just said, find something you want in the color you want, the edition you want, whatever, with my blessing. And that was just another, it's like, ah, what a relief. What a relief. Not having to go out and deal with all the Christmas shoppers. Very, very nice. What I do these days is I have a very quiet, low-key holiday schedule from Thanksgiving through Easter. And I really decorate. I really don't cook. People are always wanting to give me turkey this and turkey that. I can very politely say, oh, thank you so much, but this year, one of these to say, you know, I really don't like turkey. You don't have to keep offering it to me. But I'm not quite there yet. Not quite, because I know they're offering art and they see me as I believe I'm the oldest person in the neighborhood right now. And so there's a couple of people, they check on me and they fix a big meal to share with me kind of thing, which is nice. Realize that, you know, that they care about me and they're taking care of me. And so that's why I say I'll pass this year instead of don't do this again. How to say, oh my God, not turkey again. If you have ham or beef, send it my way, but leave the turkey in your own kitchen. So on the other end of having all of the traditions of the tree and how you decorate and what you eat and all the big meals and all of that at the other end. And what I find is really interesting is people have a hard time, I'll say, understanding that I'm totally happy. Spending the year by myself with as I want to eat that's not turkey kind of thing. I'm looking forward to Christmas Day. Same thing. My oldest granddaughter is staying with me right now while she finishes her associate's degree in space. She's got she's just got 2 more terms and she will have her degree. She's decorated her room. I mean, it looks like a home there, but you go to the rest of the house and there's some Christmas cards up. But I have a wreath on my front door, smell of the evergreens, but people just have a hard time accepting that I am happy. I am satisfied. It's like, I'll come and help you. No, you don't need to, because I don't want that. So this is just of starting the conversation in terms of where are we in this group here? Are you all celebrating the holidays in a similar way to how you celebrated growing up? Did you start some different traditions when you established your own home family kind of thing? Some of my friends they still do everything. You know, instead of baking 12 dozen cookies, they only bake 4 kind of thing, okay. So it's just, and with, because as I said, I have received some, you can't really not want, fill in the blank. And so that's actually sort of the beginning of challenges in diversity, is when we don't, whatever the level is that we're talking about, accept that the person own truth and is speaking their own truth. So that's my introduction, and your thoughts.
Thank you, Judith. There were so many thoughts going through, so many memories kind of tripping through my mind as I was listening to you. And I really want to hear from somebody else before I start talking about what I'm thinking about. But I really like that you linked Quality World pictures, right? And how Quality World pictures change, because they do over time. So anybody want to talk about the traditions, the holiday traditions, old and new, for you and your Quality World pictures?
I think, what Judith was saying with our holiday traditions as a child, they were a certain way because our grandparents basically, I don't want to use the word dictated because they weren't dictators, but because my grandparents are around, we did what their traditions were.
Right.
And I always said in my heart, I'll do them until they're gone. That didn't mean that I enjoyed them. It didn't mean that I wanted to be there. I never made it known that I didn't enjoy oyster stew, and I wasn't going to eat turkey. I never complained. I never said anything. Our tradition for Thanksgiving is ribeye steaks and New York strips. We haven't done turkeys in probably 10 or 15 years. But all that changed when my grandparents passed. But the traditions, I think it made some of our family members feel resentful. Like, do we have to do it? I always looked at it as, it's not a have to. I don't know how much longer I'm going to have them around. So while they're here, I have no problem. My Quality World was, I could be somewhere else, like Florida, the beach, because Christmas in Indiana is cold. But as long as they were here and asking, I was going to do what they wanted. I don't believe, for me personally, and for many of the people that I work with, that the holiday seasons are happy times. I work with a lot of people where it's absolutely the opposite. So I feel like I have a more untraditional outlook on Christmas and Thanksgiving, New Year's, so on and so forth. Because that's the times that a lot of the people that I work with may have dealt with rape, molestation, incest, battery, abuse, and all that kind of stuff, because they were around family members that abused them. So I think for me, I'm more sensitive to people. When we talk about the holidays, I tend to pick up on the negativity quickly and recognize that that's not a thing for them. That I don't want them to feel guilty. I don't want them to feel odd. I want to help them feel like their decision is perfectly fine if they want to be alone on Christmas. I can't tell you the number of Christmases I've been alone. And one year, my older adult kids, we celebrated on a Saturday, and Sunday morning at 8 a.m., I was on a flight to Florida to a resort for the whole week. And I didn't tell anybody I was going. I mean, I wasn't having Christmas with anyone that week. Everybody had already had their Christmas, with me. And I'm like, well, I'll just go. And when they checked in on me a couple of days later, Mom, what are you doing in Florida? I'm having fun by myself, because, and I think that's where, for me, I'll look at you, Wendell, so for me, I'm a proponent for whatever it is for you, whether it's by yourself, with family traditions, or starting your own traditions. Just do what works, because there's no sense being unhappy during these times. So I've changed our traditions tremendously, and it's not because I wanted to change them. People died. Traditions are gone.
Mhm.
So that's all I'll say, unless anyone has any questions.
No, that's a really good point, though, Vicky, that a lot of the traditions in my family growing up were based on my mom's family, my maternal grandparents.
Yep,
My
same here.
paternal, I had people in my paternal family, grandparents. So it was, yeah, so you do things because one, that's how we do it. I really liked when you were saying you know how to be there, and it's a way of honoring them. It's a way of supporting them in a holiday that matches their quality world picture. Yeah. You're muted.
I love that word you just used, honoring them, because honestly, that's what I would tell my children. Why do we have to do this? Why do we look? I'm honoring them. They're the matriarch, the patriarch. We don't know how
Mhm.
many more years we
Yeah.
have with them. You can do whatever you want. If you don't want to go with me, that's
Yeah.
fine. But I'm going there and we're doing this to honor them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the world doesn't have to be about me, which I know one of my kids, the world revolves around them. And, you know, and there's other people, we all know people that where the world has to revolve around them, and that's their choice. But I just didn't choose that.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
thank you. Wendell?
Judith, you're you're reflecting on traditions and so forth. And you hinted at it, but so way back here when I was a kid, these were all the things that were involved. The quality world pictures, the traditions, the excess, but all the happiness and stuff too. And it was interesting in my family, it was centered around the matriarchal parents, so my matriarchal grandparents, never was patriarchal, you see. But then over the years, down here, a little bit of what might be a touch of traditional, but nothing like all of the other stuff, And in and a title of a book might be from elaborate turkey dinner to grilled cheese sandwiches. I mean, what did you do for Thanksgiving? Well, we had grilled cheese sandwiches, or I mean, whatever. It's the idea. We didn't go fix anything, and we didn't plan for it. So I looked around the house, and this was what was available. But and then, of course, in our case, my wife and I, we don't have children. Like a couple of you were saying, and all about my family, except for cousins, are deceased, and the cousins are not nearby. So it's just kind of with us now too. We also probably went from a real tree to an artificial tree to no tree and some decorations, and then just to some lights. Yeah, we put up some lights around the house, but don't let Jody, don't let the kids hear this, but we leave the Christmas lights up year round now. Because
So do I. So do I. I have them outside and inside, and I leave them up year
interesting.
round.
So,
Yeah.
but I liked the emphasis on honoring and respecting other people for what they may do. Now, some of them, you don't have a tree, maybe, no, we don't. We're, but you wouldn't even get into it, but honoring and respecting that, and then respecting self, and then what's comfortable too.
Yeah.
Welcome, Martin.
I think one of the things too, Vicki was saying, and you're saying, Wendell, you have a quality world picture of how you are currently celebrating holidays, and so your scales are in balance. And if you were going to resurrect the traditions of the past, so to speak, more out of balance. And so part of what we know is when our scales are in balance, we do better. We're happier and all of those kinds of things. Why would we choose to do things that we know going to bring our scales out of balance? So anybody else have comments?
Marty just joined us. Hey, Marty, welcome. Charlene came in. Hey, Charlene, welcome.
Hello,
Anybody?
everybody.
Marty and Charlene, we're talking about holidays and how we celebrated holidays then and now, and how Judith has done a wonderful job of connecting it to our quality world pictures.
What's changed between how you celebrated the holidays growing up and what you and Tony do now? If anything.
Well, growing up, I was living in Texas around all my family members, and up here I have none. So other than my in-laws, and so certainly things have definitely changed because with my parents being gone and all of that, and so that began to change. And so I've had several, the way I celebrated the holidays before I went off to college or went into the service is different than the way I celebrated it when I was in the monastery, which is different than how I celebrated today. So yeah, it's a lot of changes. I've gone through a lot of changes, but now I get together with my two sister-in-laws, their husband, and the one niece and her husband. And because we're kind of halfway in between everybody, we tend to host the holiday get together, which I love, because then after I eat a big meal, I can go sit down and vegetate. I don't have to worry about getting up and driving an hour and a half home or whatever. So this is really nice. They come to us and that's great. So it's a good, it's evolved over the years, but my scales are in balance and have been in balance all along the way as I look back at it. So
I'm wondering if it makes a difference that you had your Texas growing up, so then you left home for the service. In terms of changing how you celebrated, if that's different than if you're still I'm like, all the families still around that you celebrated with before, and now you want to do it differently, but you have you just have the people around that you used to celebrate a certain way with, and you want to do it differently, and they may or may not be as accepting to your changes.
The people that I used to be around have no choice. They have to accept my way of celebrating. They're in Texas and I'm in Washington. So
right.
Yeah. And it was the same thing when I was in the monastery. They were in Texas. When I was in the army, they were in Texas. And so it's been a gradual change. One of the things that we have done in the past is that we would go to Dallas sometimes for the holidays, and so that was a lot different. But then we were with my family. But as life takes over and age began to move in, we don't travel down there that much. So especially for the holidays. And then once my son came along, then we had our own Christmas celebrations with him growing up. And now that he's adult and out of the house, it's changed again. But as I
Yeah.
look back at it, I would say my scales have basically been in balance. I've been pretty happy meeting my quality world picture of what my interpretation of Christmas would be in all those different circumstances.
Okay. Well, I'm wondering if Jody's going to pop in, because she has two darling little ones that a furry one. Not sure if it's a furry girl or a furry boy, but
Girl.
I think Christmas girls, 3. So Christmas with the little ones, from my perspective, is different for all adults. So
Look at that boy over there. It's been a, I guess it's been interesting for me. It was really hard for me to transition from the traditions that I had growing up to, the ones that we incorporated once we got married, and we had to share holidays with with both sides of the family, and so we had to learn to navigate that, and now we're learning to navigate with our children having little ones, and so when our kids are married and they have to divide time, it becomes even more challenging. So it's been interesting learning to navigate all of that, and sometimes I can be resistant to change if I'm just being completely honest. So it's been an opportunity for me to grow.
very positive way of looking at it, Jody. Positive way to grow. I think when we're able to have that perspective, it eases the process. I mean, Rhonda, to share?
With me, as you get older, traditions do change. And with me, this year is a different Christmas for me because I'm not in my old house. I'm in a new place. So I'm around people that I've never been around before. And I guess this is starting a new tradition for me, being around new people and all. But I do plan to go to Florida to spend time with my brother, a few days with my brother. I'm planning on it. I don't know if I get there or not, but I'm planning on it. But this is new for me this year.
Do you have any traditions like decorations and
I
from your?
really do not put up. I haven't put any decorations up in years. With my mama, she stopped putting up decorations when her mother died, and that's been years ago. And then when my mama passed away last year, I just was not in that, they was not in the mood for it. And this year I sort of got some up, but they were given to me. All my old stuff is in my old house. I just haven't brought nothing over yet. I may and I may not. I'm debating.
I had I'm trying to remember now, I think 7 or 8 of the big plastic tote bins of holiday ornaments and decorations and that left my house this year. Some went to Anacortes, Washington. Some went to Beaverton. They just
So you're saying
got
that
distributed.
cleaned you out?
Yeah.
The
I'm
granddaughter
just,
cleaned you out, yeah.
Yeah, and thankfully, I mean, it was more like, if you don't take them, they're going to donation. It's up to you, but they are leaving my house. Wendell?
Yeah, it occurs to me, whether it's because we all are pretty knowledgeable about choice theory and have it internalized, or if it's because we're some of us are older and have lost those connections, have moved around, what have you. But we've sort of moved, some of us have moved from a picture of have to, this is what you have to do, or what you're supposed to do, or what you're always going to do, to a position of choice today. I'm choosing to do these things. I'm choosing not to put up a lot of stuff. I think I have a container of decorations in a storage unit, but I've chosen, we didn't particularly talk about it, but I've not chosen to go by and get that out and bring it over here and see where we can put some more stuff. So from kind of a automatic doing it to a cognitive choice to do differently.
I know. Gloria, do you have any thoughts? Or I should say, what are your thoughts? Modeling open-ended questions.
You know, I have lots of thoughts. And so, you know, the things, lots of things have changed in the way that I do things. You know, when I remember, you know, how my mother specifically celebrated Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's with us this holiday season. And then sometimes as we all grew up and had our own families, we created this other tradition where we would, some of the holidays, we would all get together. And the last time we did it, I think that everybody came to my house, and there was probably about 40 people in our family who came together for Thanksgiving. Well, along with my mom, but you know, she died a few years ago. But then a lot of things have changed about my life. And so I grew up practicing being a Baptist, right? And some years ago, I decided to join the Baha'i faith. And so traditions around holidays are different, all right? And but the things that I think about that I did and I still do is like I still around certain holidays, you know, New Year's is always the black eyed peas and hog maws and you know, the you know, and the rice and the, you know, what they call it, Hoppin' Johns, is all this, you know, we do that stuff most of the time. But in Thanksgiving, I still make the things that my kids ask me to make because they're accustomed to me making the macaroni and cheese and the giblet gravy and the dressing, and they will only eat the jellied cranberry sauce. One year I made the mistake of buying the cranberry sauce with berries in it, and they talked about me badly. And so that happened to me last year. So this year when we got together, everybody had jellied cranberry sauce because they were afraid that I would forget. But anyway, so but and as I listened, I thought about, you know, the choices that we make, and somehow we hold on to some tradition. That's a part I'm wondering about now, Judith, is because we're still acknowledging the holidays. We're still acknowledging the traditional stuff. We're just not practicing those intrafamilial traditions that we may have had to the same degree, right? And even if it's just like kicking my feet up because I got the day off, I'm still in some way honoring the tradition. And I may be wrong, but you know, I'm just putting it out there and thinking about it, because a question I wrote here for everybody is do you hold on to any aspect of the tradition? Even if you're not, I don't like turkey either. And my children don't like turkey. So we stopped making turkey a long time ago. I used to buy that big turkey because I have 5 kids and, you know, they eat a lot when they were little, but they wouldn't eat their turkey. So I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And so then I had this year, well, a couple of years ago, I had a granddaughter who decided she was vegetarian. She was not gonna, I don't care how much, whatever I did to that dressing and gravy, if it didn't have tofu in it, she wasn't gonna eat it. So we had to learn how to make, she and I, how to make dressing and giblet gravy without the giblets. And we did. And so she and I, created a new tradition. So now this year we did it again. We had the dressing without any meat, right? It had tofu. And she made most of it. She drained and sauteed the tofu and did all the stuff she had to do for that. And it turned out really well. Last year it was really good. So, but also, I know I just asked a question about us holding on to some part of the tradition. And the newest thing that came up in my family, because all of my children, I have 5 adult children. My youngest children are in their 43. And I have 27 grandchildren, and many of them are adults and 6 great-grandchildren. And so when we got together this year, not all of us got together, but most of us, they decided we're not going to call it Thanksgiving anymore. We're not going to do Thanksgiving dinner because all the conversation has come up about the history of the creation of that celebration. So now they're in our chat. There is the conversation around changing our gatherings to something else. Even though we're still gonna get together around those same times and do some of those same things, we're gonna change the way we do it. And I really appreciate that my children have grown to think that it's okay to challenge tradition, but not to just challenge the tradition, but honor and respect the fact that the tradition exists. And then say, I know these things happen. I know we're going to do these things, but can we just do it just a little bit differently? And so I just wonder, I know we're all doing it, but how, or is there anything that you're holding on to around these holiday celebrations that is traditional?
Gloria, I have the title of your next book.
Mm-hmm.
From Baptist to Baha'i.
Yeah. I don't know many people who are Baha'i who were born in the Baha'i faith, but yeah, that would be an interesting book to write, especially being raised in the South.
The title would be catchy to people.
Yeah, and having everybody think that you are a heathen if you don't go to church. But it doesn't mean I don't. Being Baha'i means I honor and respect everybody's religion because I believe in progressive revelation, meaning that God created and might have sent messengers at different times to deliver messages that people in that era could understand. So every religion is important to me. Anybody else want to think about the tradition part? No. Okay.
Oh Lord, how long has my microphone been on?
Your microphone been off the whole time you've been in this conversation, Shirley.
It's been on?
No, it wasn't on. We didn't hear anything you said.
I don't even know. I was a bit eating chocolate and listening. And I thought it was on the whole time. I looked down, I didn't touch it. But I'll share real quick. We're still keeping the traditions of coming together to eat and fellowship. So some of the other stuff is different. But there's just something about around that time of the year, somebody wants to eat and somebody wants to cook. So we come together and, it's not as many people as it used to be, but even a small group of people just coming together in love and sitting down, enjoying a meal and just a fellowship together.
Awesome.
Charlene, would you think that, Gloria, would you think as we talk here, that the changes from more traditional to a broader or different perspective might be more prevalent in non-white families.
I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't think so. I just think it's just according to where that person is in life and
Yeah.
their experiences, where they are on their spiritual journey or what have you. So I don't know. That's a good question. It would definitely be
Like
conversation.
Gloria's talking about the history of Thanksgiving. And then you go back and hear all the things that we never knew before, that other people don't want to put in the book anymore. And when we learn those things, we start looking differently at a particular time or activity. You all know in Florida, they're defunding and required by the government, Florida government, to defunding diversity programs.
I know Florida is a hot mess.
Yeah, it's
What it is.
the money, and it's interesting because I wonder when I was doing equal opportunity work, it was a big deal for the numero uno Secretary of the Air Force, the commander of your command, your base commander, to have an equal opportunity policy letter in writing that people could go and refer to. And those at the beginning were typically, we will treat people with respect and make decisions not based on their race, color, religion, national gender, that sort of thing. Later, those expanded to 8 or 9 or 10 different categories, but that's always been standard in every state government, the federal government, federal contracts, that sort of thing. But now with here in Florida, with their attempt to defund diversity, and not and bar the teaching. Oh, I want to go back to something else that you started with earlier. The notion of discomfort in Florida. They've said we've got to do away with all these things that may make youngsters feel uncomfortable in school. And what they're talking about is white youngsters. If you talk about slavery and all the horrendous things, I don't need to list them here. But so what about Black and brown children? Are they going to be, do we have any concern about their discomfort when you teach this over here and don't teach this over here? No, we're not worried about that. That discomfort was an interesting word in the educational system and funding of money too.
I like the idea of discomfort. I think maybe they should feel discomfortable,
Yes.
learn, and I think if learning makes you feel discomfortable, then it says to me that you should be doing that. And I mean, I think that I don't think you're going to find a lot of, Black people saying I'm uncomfortable talking about slavery, and what was done to my ancestors. I think from my perspective, now I can't say about other Black people, but from my perspective, I think that it should be out there. I think these kids, young kids and white kids in grade school and high school, as well as Black kids, should know about that, because that's part of who we are. It's part of the history. Both Black and white. We all come from that era, and I think it's important. If you're going to be uncomfortable, I think that that's an opportunity for discussion. That's the time to start talking about that discomfort.
In fact, it strikes me as you say that, it really is more for the parents who will be uncomfortable.
That's true.
And their kids would probably be okay learning.
I think that's very true.
Yeah, but the parents
it comes back to
their feelings of guilt or inadequacy on what to do about it.
And I'm not even sure it's the parents. It seems to be the politicians who are having the problem. So I think that we need to look at who we put in office, and they're pushing their own personal agendas.
Yeah.
I think Neb turned on his microphone
and turned it off again.
But we want to acknowledge that he turned it on, so he'll turn it back on and say whatever it is and just on this topic, while he's turning his mic on, I would love for us to, not us, but I'm just going to put that the Harvard Business Review published an article on the importance of continuing and modifying DEA trainings because it's more important now than ever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I just want to say is we need to include indigenous
Mhm.
populations and Asian.
We do. We do.
We as a country do not have stellar background when it comes to minorities.
People. Well, I sometimes I have to correct myself. I say we because I take ownership. I'm an American. But the reality is, it wasn't my people who were doing it, but the country as a whole mistreated a lot of people, including Europeans who came here, who were coming here running away from oppression. Okay, Neb turned his microphone on, and I'm gonna let him go on and say what he has to say before we run out of time.
It was a mistake.
No, it wasn't. No, you're not gonna say that it was a mistake.
I'm sorry, Neb, we're not buying it.
I think that when we look at places where persons are afraid of discomfort, that was one of our issues with diversity. It made some people difficult discussions, let me say, difficult discussions in diversity. It still makes some people uncomfortable, and they aren't all Floridians. I think that we need to simply accept, not without effort, we simply need to accept that some people are just uncomfortable with anything that flies in the face of change. We've been talking, I've been listening to you talk about holidays and traditions that have changed. Some of those changes come about because new knowledge is on the table. Some of those changes come about, again, because the historians are gone. Those people that we talk about who are now our ancestors who kept those traditions alive. I also think that if we are talking about things that make us uncomfortable, the crucifixion would end. Because if you're a Christian and you're not uncomfortable with the crucifixion, then what do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Knew you had something to add. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Judith, this was a wonderful conversation. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yesterday I was in a workshop, and the facilitator mentioned something that was really important, that I mean, my ears kind of perked up. When I saw the word on the screen, my eyes lit up. And so he talked about this concept called constructivism. And so because of the way that I had to do my doctoral research, I had to choose. And so I read Lincoln and Duba's constructivist credo, right? And so basically constructivism, because it's all about what we were talking about. That's the only reason I'm going to say it. I brought it up. But it is where we understand that learners, or people who are getting information, construct knowledge rather than just passively take in information. So we're all, as we're sitting and watching and thinking about all the things that we're experiencing, we're taking in information, and then we're constructing our own reality. And then the other word was relativism, which is I think kind of sometimes, well, realism is counter to constructivism, but relativism goes along with this, and it says that relativism means knowledge, truth, and morality exist in relation to culture, society, or historical context, and they are not absolute. There is no one way to gain knowledge. That's realism. There's no one way to gain knowledge. There's no one way to get to the place that you say, where you decide, oh, well, unless you're going to be rigid. People who believe in realism don't like change. They think there's only one way to be, and we're not that way. We are relativists. we practice constructivism. We understand that everybody, because of their experiences and their perceptual system, have developed their own images in their quality world pictures, and then therefore they act on those things. Anyway, that's me.
Join us
Yeah,
in
we-
January from
right.
January
Thank you, Judy.
11th, 12th.
January, January meeting. I got my calendar already. It's not
January
the 20th. It's the 20th, right?
Yes.
January 20th. Now I did write the topic.
Schools,
down.
quality world making and all of those things.
Quality world making. Great segue. Thank you very much, Judith. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Habar Ghani. Happy New Year. I know there are like 28 holidays. I saw that somewhere that are being celebrated. However you celebrate them, please enjoy yourself. Even, and I have a kind of large family, but sometimes I spend a lot of time by myself. And I'm okay in this space by myself, eating my cheese crackers or an apple or persimmon, however you pronounce it, because I'm gonna go eat a persimmon in a couple minutes, and watching something on TV. So y'all enjoy. Know that
People are proposing that Rosa Parks have a national holiday
Rosa
in her
Parks.
name. This is going to be interesting discussion for years to come. You remember how many years it took, even after it was ratified, for Martin Luther King's to be a national holiday. There were states that ratified it years and years later. To Rosa Parks National Holiday. This should be.
So now we have a national holiday for Rosa Parks.
Huh?
Is it already a national holiday?
No.
Oh, okay. I was about to say you don't want to be off.
It's being proposed at another level.
Okay,
Right.
that's another level. Okay.
And we'll see. And maybe not.
All right, y'all. Thank you very much.
Gloria, I'll see you in 4 minutes.
Okay, I'll see you in 4 minutes. Okay. Bye, y'all.
Hi,
All right.
Have a good one.
enjoy your holidays. Bye-bye.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Bye-bye.